I met Dash when I was shooting. I was asked to shoot for a book, the install of Street Market. So it was Barry ESPO. I knew ESPO very well, and Reese, and then Dash started buzzing around, and he was just like this magnetic, wild child, and so we became friends, and then I guess I met the IRAK guys through him, actually, because I started at the time I was thinking, I was like, I'm going to start just doing interviews of these graffiti guys, and because I had known a lot of them at some point. I was just so fascinated by the culture, and like the just, I'd travel to London and I'd walk out of my hotel and there'd be like an amaze tag on this, like behind this random hotel. I'm like, he was just here. I just love that like mark or that evidence of someone's presence, and just the messaging and all that. And I love the like the kind of camaraderie, or you could go to this town, and like I just didn't have that in my natural life, and I don't know if it was a girl thing, or I found that with skate too, like just wasn't intrinsic to anything I came from, and I really thought that was amazing. And so the social dynamics of that community. So I just like to know about it. And so I started like doing these little interviews of graffiti guys and just asking them random dumb questions, like average questions, like, that, which then became like kind of the thread of the Dash movie, which is him at 19 being like, do you want to have a house? Or, you think you'll have kids? Like just funny questions. But it was funny coming out of his mouth at the time in C Squat, drinking a gallon of vodka. But so yeah, I met those guys. And then like I had that big loft in the Financial, and who lived there? I think Nico stayed there for a while, and Seaman pretended I would come in and he would be like, I think he was staying there, but like pretending like he wasn't staying there. And he would like, I'd come into my studio and he'd like jump up and he'd be like, oh, where's the vacuum cleaner? Like he had just popped by to vacuum the house or something. And I'm like, you can relax. So yeah, I kind of just knew him.
Such an iconic group. It's whenever I talk to people about them, everyone's everyone has their own version of how that group influenced them and what that group did for them, and just people who maybe have never even met them or met anyone in that group, IRAK, have been deeply influenced by it and inspired in one way or the other, like myself included.
Maybe being a chick and maybe being older and not of it, I know that like Mark Gonzalez asked me to make a film with him backwards forwards in like 97 because I was not a skateboard filmmaker. I have a modern dance background, and I was looking at other things. I was looking at the beauty of the body when it falls, and in skate, you're like, someone said to me, I can't believe you put so many falls in there. I'm like, I mean, look at how amazing he looks when he's falling, like, and that was like, you don't do that. I'm like, I don't know the rules, I don't know, and so maybe similar to graffiti, I'm just like looking at these little characters, these characters, these guys, and kind of looking at their style, their personalities, and like, yeah, I don't need to shoot them bombing. Other people are doing that,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think about that. I was just doing what was interesting to me,
Yeah.
But that's cool you said that. I like that, I remember, shooting, I think he just posted that, Snot, and he's just like wearing like Prada stuff, and he's like dancing on the street, and that's what a photographer and a subject, there's just like something that happens, and it's like your personalities come together and you make a picture, and it's like you could have 4 people looking at the same thing, trying to shoot the same thing, and their pictures would be completely different because there's not a chemical reaction, but an energy reaction that happens, you know? So that's what our energy reaction was, and that's what, like, how Dash was to me. That's probably would be different than some other guy or some other person, you know? This is what I made. And so, you know, I know when that film was coming to be, there was like other people trying to make something. I'm like, good, make it, you know, this is what I'm making. It's nothing's going to be the same. And the more that we have, the better, you know, like the more his life lives on. But I like that. Anyway, that's a tangent, but I like that that resonated with you. That's really cool to me. I did a graffiti story for, it was like a art photo magazine, and I shot Kunle, those pictures of Kunle, and I shot Caleb C4 in San Francisco, who was really young at the time, teenager maybe, and he was up everywhere. He was wrecking it, and I knew him, he came to me through Dave Schubert, who also I met as a teenager, and so he was like, yeah, he like connected me to him, and I actually introduced Dave to Dash, and they made tons of beautiful pictures together. So it's kind of cool that way. I mean, IRAK was very unique in as far as a crew, and they were of their time. They were completely, you know, diverse in culture and ethnicity and sexual preference, and they branded themselves, and they were like, I'm going to get up as much as that Calvin Klein underwear I had on the corner of Broadway and Houston. Like, that's a spot we want, you know, and understood marketing, you know, because they were New York City kids. They were, you know, had artist parents. They were of this place, you know, and they understood, you know, how to get over it, how to get in it, how to play with it, how to, you know, whatever, have a good time.
Yeah.
And it was cool, you know, and that's cool, you or whoever not being here and getting a sense of that from just what you saw in magazines and films and whatever. Well, Dash was gone, and so a lot of it was editorial, and then it was hard because even though he had been gone for a number of years at that time, no one really got to... It was emotionally difficult for a lot of people, and I think soon after he passed, it was sort of like an understood, like, don't talk much, because the media was writing fucked up things, and, you know, like, they were journalists and just writing this perception of this person, even though they didn't know this person, and it was hurtful and not true. And so, like, within the circle, they were like, nobody talk.